learning how to maintain and operate our aircraft so that we can safely go and train, whilst at the same time absolutely protecting our people and protecting their families by making sure that we don't spread the coronavirus anywhere that it shouldn't be.
It's known as the home of the Apache. Wattisham Airfield in Suffolk is the base for 5 squadrons of attack helicopters and thousands of soldiers, dependents and contractors. While these troops train for every battlefield scenario, the COVID crisis has tested the Army Air Corps in an unprecedented way.
Most of the weapon systems and sights are easiest to use from the front.
Lieutenant Colonel Nick English commands 3 regiments and is among the Army's most experienced Apache pilots, serving 4 tours of Afghanistan. For 3 weeks at the start of lockdown, his unit became a virtual regiment, reducing its flying to a minimum, with many of its soldiers working, learning and even doing PT from home.
So we've run everything from physical training patterns over Zoom, we've run cooking lessons over Zoom, people have qualified as fuel truck operators, and people have taken the opportunity to make themselves better and develop themselves. We've had computer hacking courses, we've had all sorts of things. And we were able to do that for about 3 or 4 weeks. But ultimately we have to fly our helicopters. Being a combat unit requires our aircrew to get in the aircraft and practice all of those high-end skills. As the Suffolk countryside will tell you that we have to fly at night and we fly low level at night, and those are really perishable skills that we have to maintain.
Flying may have resumed, but many of the restrictions remain. There's a one-way system around all the hangars here, and some shifts have been split to reduce the chance of soldiers catching the virus. Even that staple of military life, the brew, has to be taken at a social distance. One of the frontline flying units at Wattisham is 663 Squadron. Right now its aircraft, personnel and these vehicles should have been overseas, taking part in a huge NATO exercise across Germany and Poland. Instead they've had to unpack, plan a domestic exercise instead and adjust to the new restrictions.
So returning back to work, the areas that it's affected us is just obviously when we do cab moves, we still keep the spatial awareness and we're separated. It's come down to the points when we're touching areas and making sure that we clean it. It's affected us more in the crew room and in our office, because obviously we're working on a computer, cleaning it before using it and after it, and then ensuring that the lads aren't all bunched up on a sofa, which they would normally do, having a laugh. It's just keeping that spatial awareness.
The British Army's Apaches entered frontline service in 2005. Over the following years they were used to lethal effect against the Taliban in Helmand and over Libya, suppressing Colonel Gaddafi's forces. Keeping 663's Apaches flying are these teams of aviation engineers. The Apache, like most helicopters, requires a fair degree of maintenance, and this is one of the areas where it's been most difficult to implement social distancing.
Different measures have been put in. We're now saying like each working bay is an island, so when you come over you disinfect yourself, sanitize your hands. When we open up the tools now, we have to disinfect all the tools, because obviously different people will be working on it at different times.
Every single tool?
Every single tool has to be disinfected. We have split our whole workforce down to do 2 separate working crews now, so we are working nights tonight and we have a days as well now, whereas normally we would just have a skeleton crew in at night just to cover the fly-in, but now we've got 2 working crews.
One obvious question is, how do Apache aircrew, the aircraft commander or gunner in the front and the pilot in the back, practice social distancing? Well, it turns out it's not that hard.
So actually in the Apache it's much easier than you'd expect, because in between the 2 cockpits is a 4 centimetre thick piece of armoured glass. So whilst it looks like they're sat next to each other, actually both cockpits are entirely separate. So probably the easiest place to social distance in this whole thing is actually when you're sat in the helicopter.
Along with coronavirus, these squadrons have another challenge around the corner. In a few months' time, they start transitioning to their new helicopters, as these Apache Ds are sent back to Boeing to be remanufactured into updated E-models. For all the squadrons here, it's now about striking a balance, getting used to new ways of working while remaining operationally potent, all while protecting the health of their people. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.